All right, so this video is for lesson 1.8 homework. We're doing multi-step inequalities. All right, so number one. Anytime that we see the parentheses, the first thing we've got to do is we've got to distribute. Okay, we need to simplify and get rid of the parentheses. So 2 times 6x is 12x. 2 times negative 5 is a negative 10. And then everything else stays the same. Then we can solve it. So remember, get rid of your addition or subtraction first. Remember, get everything away from the x. Move things away from the x, not towards the x. So we've got this minus 10. We move that first. So we do the opposite. And we add 10. So this cancels. 14 plus 10 is 24. And then whenever you have a letter and a number shoved together, it's multiplication. So the opposite of multiplication is division. And that's it. That's your answer. On number 2, what's the very first thing that we need to do on number 2 here? Or what's your gut tell you should do? Get rid of that fraction. Fractions have to go before you do anything else. So to get rid of that, you can multiply both sides by 7. And this, as far as I'm going to take this one, you can solve the rest yourself. So you're left with 3x minus 8 is greater than 7. That at least gets you to a two-stepper, but there's not another one like that on here. So I'll write that here so y'all can see it later. All right, number 3. This one's kind of wonky. So I'm going to show you a couple tricks here. So 9 plus x less than or equal to 3x over 5 plus 11. So sometimes when we write things like this, it scares kids. So I want to show you just some tricks that might make that less scary. So as long as the x is on top, I can rewrite this problem. I can write this as 3/5, and I can put that fraction, I can kind of pull the fraction and the letter x apart and put the fraction in front of it instead of having x in the fraction. All right, from here, if we've got an x on both sides, we need to move them together. We want to move the smaller x. So remember, just a plain old x, that's like a 1. And then this is 3/5. So which one's smaller here? So I'm going to subtract 3/5 x from both sides. Okay, so this is a 9. Remember, there's an imaginary 1 here. So what I'm going to do is 1 minus 3/5. Just the coefficients, just the numbers. And I get 2/5. So now I have 9 plus 2/5 x. This cancels. And now I'm back down to a two-step equation. So with multi-step equations, your first goal is to turn it back into a two-stepper. All right, so now that I've got a two-step, what do I do first? Subtract the 9 from both sides. So this cancels. 11 minus 9 is 2. All right, how do I get rid of this fraction that's in front of the x? Divide, because it's already being multiplied. So we're going to divide by the fraction. That cancels it out. So we're going to do 2 divided by 2/5. And so this will cancel. Leaves just the x. And then 2 divided by 2/5 is a 5. So x less than or equal to 5. All right, number 5 has some decimals in it. That's the only difference between this one and this one. And we've got an x on each side. So number 5, 2.4 times 7x plus 4.8 is less than 16x. Okay, what do I do first? Distribute. Remember, get rid of those parentheses. Let me, wrong thing, calculator. Okay, so we've got to do 2.4 times 7, and that's 16.8x, and then 2.4 times 4.8 is 1152. All right, for this problem, even though this is bigger than 16, I'm going to move this one because I don't want a blank over here. I don't want a 0. Well, let's try it. Let's move the smaller x. So if I subtract 16x from both sides, because remember, you got to get your x's together before you can do anything else. You can't really do anything with an x on both sides. So I'm left with 0.8x plus 11.52. What would be over here if both of these cancel? A 0. And I can do that. That's okay. Then I can subtract the 11.52 from both sides. And then how do I get rid of that 0.8? Divide it. So I would do negative 11.52 divided by 0.8. Is that right? That is right. So x is less than negative 14.4. Okay, graphing. So first off, we've got to solve before we can graph. So number 7, 15x plus 19 greater than or equal to 10x minus 11. All right, so I got an x on both sides, so I got to move them together. Which of these am I going to move? The 10, it's smaller. So 15 minus 10 is 5. This cancels. Okay, what do I, it froze. What do I do next? So this cancels. So then we've got, let's see, negative 11 minus 19 is a negative 30. And then what's the final step? So we got a negative 6. So that's my answer as an inequality. Okay? X is greater than or equal to negative 6. So here's how we graph. If the sign is greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, we use a filled in circle. If it's just greater than or less than, we use an open circle. So here, I'm going to put a filled in circle at negative 6. And then x is greater than. So I want my arrow to point towards all the numbers greater than 6. The other way you can look at it, when x is on the left-hand side like this, the arrow points the same direction as the inequality sign. So this piece matches that piece. It kind of looks like the arrow. So that's how you graph. So this one, is it going to be a filled in circle or an open circle? So this one's going to be open. What about this one? Open. What about this one? Close. That's pretty straightforward, right? Okay, so last problem here. 2x minus 10 over x plus 6 is greater than negative 9. All right, what does your gut tell you? What should I do first? How would I move that x plus 6? Multiply. I can multiply this whole side by x plus 6, which means I got to multiply this whole side by x plus 6. But that way, this cancels this, and it gets rid of that fraction for me. And then we can just distribute over here. Negative 9 times x is negative 9x. Negative 9 times a 6 is it negative 54? Is that right? Okay. Now I got an x on both sides. So I got to move one of them. Do I want to move the 2x or the negative 9x? Smaller. So I'm going to add 9x to both sides. 9, 10, 11. This cancels. We're getting there. What do we do next? Plus 10. 11x. Negative 44. Oh, sorry. Okay, what's my final step? So x is greater than negative 4. All right, froze. So we already set an open circle. Where would negative 4 be? This one right here?
Yeah.
So open circle, and these are all the numbers greater than negative 4. Again, inequality sign and the arrow are the same direction.